1,000 Old Sisters star Amy's family tensions, embarking on a new path with her husband and children. Amy Slatton, star of the popular reality show 1,000 Old Sisters, has made a big decision due to a family dispute. She has moved in with her husband with her child and will no longer live with her sister Tammy. Amy is looking to rebuild her life due to family tensions. His decision has sparked discussion among fans, and everyone is looking forward to his new path. Amy Slatton sat on the porch of her new home, rocking gently in her chair as her son played in the yard. The evening breeze was cool against her skin, a stark contrast to the heated arguments that had led her here. For years, she and her sister Tammy had shared not just a home, but a life filled with struggles, victories, and heartbreaks. They had fought their battles together, against weight, against judgment, against the world. But somewhere along the way, their bond had begun to fray. It started with small disagreements. What to cook, how to clean, how to raise the kids. But those small things piled up, turning into long, painful arguments that left Amy exhausted. She loved Tammy, but love alone wasn't enough anymore. She needed peace, not constant tension. The final straw came one evening when their argument escalated beyond words. Tammy had accused Amy of abandoning her, of choosing her new family over the one they had always been. Amy, with tears in her eyes, had tried to explain, but Tammy wasn't ready to listen. That night, Amy made her decision. She packed her bags, gathered her children, and moved in with her husband. It wasn't easy. Every step away from her sister felt like walking on broken glass. But she knew she had to do it, for her own happiness, for her children. As she sat there now, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she took a deep breath. This was a new chapter, a new beginning. She missed Tammy, but she also knew that sometimes distance was necessary for healing. Maybe one day they would find their way back to each other. But for now, Amy was choosing herself, her family, and a future filled with hope. However, the Stalin family had been through a lot, but this season was different. Tensions were higher, emotions were raw, and each sibling was at a breaking point. It started one evening when Tammy and Amy gathered for their usual weekly check-in. Tammy had been struggling with her health, her weight, and the emotional toll of living with her condition. Her frustrations boiled over, and in a moment of anger, she lashed out at Amy, accusing her of abandoning the family. "You think just because you've lost weight, you're better than me?" Tammy screamed, her voice shaking. "You've forgotten what it's like, haven't you? You don't care anymore." Amy, taken aback, stood frozen for a moment. The hurt in Tammy's words pierced her deeply. She had tried to support her sister, but now she wasn't sure how to reach her. "Tammy, that's not it. I've been through this too, and I'm just trying to make sure you don't end up like me, stuck." But Tammy wasn't listening. "You don't know what it's like to live in my skin. You don't know how hard it is every day." The air in the room felt thick with anger, and just as the argument threatened to escalate further, Chris, the brother, stepped in. "Enough," he said, his voice steady but firm. "Tammy, Amy's been through hell too. You can't keep pushing her away. We're all here to help you, but you have to meet us halfway." Tammy, still reeling from her emotions, stormed off, leaving Amy and Chris standing in the tense silence. Amy sighed, her heart heavy. She knew that Tammy was struggling, but sometimes it felt like she couldn't help her no matter what she did. Later that evening, as the family gathered for a meal, things seemed to calm down. But there was an underlying tension. Tammy had refused to come to the table, retreating into her room. The quiet weighed on the family as they ate, unsure of how to proceed. Then came the phone call, an emergency call from Tammy's doctor. She'd been avoiding appointments for weeks, and now there were concerns about her health deteriorating quickly. Amy, in tears, knew it was time for drastic action. "We have to do something," she told Chris. "I'm afraid she might not make it if we don't." The family rallied, each member trying to figure out a way to help Tammy face her fears and get the treatment she so desperately needed. Amy took the first step, calling Tammy and telling her that no matter how tough it was, the family would be there every step of the way. "I'm not giving up on you, Tammy. "We're in this together," Amy said, her voice trembling. And finally, after what felt like forever, Tammy agreed to go back to the doctor. It wasn't a perfect resolution, and the road ahead would be long and challenging. But for the first time in a long time, the Stalin family saw a glimmer of hope that they might be able to heal together. However, in the latest season of 1000 Love Sisters, Amy and Tammy Slatton find themselves at a crucial crossroads in their weight loss journeys. The road to health and happiness has always been full of challenges, but Season 5 brings with it an entirely new set of hurdles they must face together. Amy, now a mother of two, struggles to balance her responsibility as a parent with her ongoing weight loss goals. She feels torn between dedicating time to her family and focusing on her own health. With her younger son and new baby, Amy finds it increasingly difficult to find the time and energy to continue her exercise routine. The pressure of raising a family while dealing with the stress of her own body image issues becomes overwhelming. She's determined to keep going, but the fear of failure looms over her every decision. On the other hand, Tammy, who has been battling severe health issues related to her weight for years, faces her most significant struggle yet. After a series of hospitalizations and warnings from her doctors, Tammy finds herself at a breaking point. She's been given one last chance to get her life together before her health deteriorates further. But old habits die hard. Tammy's emotional eating and feelings of isolation lead her into a dangerous spiral of self-doubt and frustration. Her health is deteriorating rapidly, and she's afraid it might be too late for her to make a real change. In a pivotal moment, Amy and Tammy sit down together to have an honest conversation. Amy opens up about how she feels guilty for not being able to do more for her sister. Tammy, in turn, admits how deeply she struggles with the fear of losing everything if she doesn't change. They both realize that they need each other more than ever. Their bond as sisters is stronger than the obstacles in front of them. Together, they decide to make a pact. No matter how tough it gets, they won't give up on themselves or each other. Tammy agrees to go back to therapy and take small steps toward recovery, while Amy commits to better time management so she can take care of her body while still being the mom she wants to be. The season ends on a hopeful note, with both sisters stepping forward, uncertain but determined to face whatever comes next. They know the road ahead will be long and difficult, but with each other's support, they believe they can finally overcome their biggest challenges yet. However, once upon a time, in a small town lived two sisters, Tammy and Amanda, who were famous in their community for their larger-than-life personalities. Tammy weighed 1,000 pounds, a condition that had been with her for years, while Amanda, a supportive yet misunderstood woman, struggled to keep their family together. Despite their shared history, the bond between the sisters had grown tense over time. Amanda, once a vibrant young woman, had become her sister's primary caretaker. Tammy's weight made it impossible for her to care for herself, and Amanda sacrificed her own life and dreams to help. But over the years, resentment began to brew. Tammy, feeling trapped in her body and dependent on her sister, started to blame Amanda for not doing enough to help her lose weight. She felt suffocated by the constant attention her condition demanded, while Amanda felt unappreciated and worn out. One day, as the sisters sat together in the living room, the tension reached its breaking point. Tammy, with a voice filled with frustration, said, "I've had enough of you trying to fix me. I am who I am, and I don't need your constant reminders." Amanda, holding back tears, replied, "I've done everything for you, Tammy, but it's never enough. You think I enjoy being stuck in this life. You think I want to give up everything to take care of you." Their argument was loud, raw, and painful. The love they had once shared now seemed like a distant memory, drowned by years of unresolved issues. But deep down, both sisters knew they were just scared. Tammy was afraid of the world outside, of losing her sister, of facing the reality of her weight. Amanda was afraid of losing her sister to her own self-doubt, of not being able to save Tammy from herself. In the weeks that followed, the sisters avoided each other, the house filled with silence instead of laughter. Yet, as the days passed, Both began to reflect on their lives. Tammy realized that her resentment stemmed from a deep fear of change. She had always felt that she was defined by her weight, and she wasn't sure who she was without it. Amanda, too, recognized that her frustration came from a place of love. She wanted her sister to find happiness, even if it meant letting go of the role she had been playing for so long. Finally, one day, Tammy approached Amanda with tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I've been scared for so long, and I pushed you away because I didn't know how to change." Amanda, with a sigh of relief, embraced her sister. "I've been scared too, Tammy. But we don't have to do this alone. We can work through this together." And so, the sisters began a new chapter in their lives. It wasn't easy, and there were still struggles ahead, but they started to rebuild their bond, one step at a time, with love, patience, and understanding. Tammy realized that her worth wasn't defined by the number on the scale, and Amanda learned that caring for her sister didn't mean sacrificing her own happiness. In the end, the sisters discovered that family isn't just about blood. It's about love, support, and finding a way to rise above the challenges, no matter how big or small. However, Tammy stormed off in a flurry of emotion, her steps heavy with fury as the door slammed behind her. The sound echoed through the house, a reflection of the storm raging inside her heart. Her chest tightened, every muscle coiled in tension. She couldn't believe what had just happened. Amanda, her sister, stood in the doorway, her face pale and unsure, her eyes brimming with regret. For weeks they hadn't spoken, each one trapped in their own world of hurt and misunderstandings. But today, Amanda had taken a step toward healing, an olive branch extended in the form of an apology. She had genuinely wanted to mend things, to fix the rift that had torn their once close relationship apart. "I just want us to be okay again, Tammy," Amanda had said, her voice quivering slightly as she stood in the living room, face to face with her sister. "We've been through so much together. Don't you want to find a way back?" But the words hit Tammy like a brick, and in that moment, all the anger, the years of resentment, and the unspoken frustrations she had buried inside her erupted. "You think an apology will fix everything? After everything you've put me through?" Tammy's voice was sharp, laced with bitterness. "I don't need your fake words, Amanda. You don't get to make everything better with a simple sorry." Amanda took a step forward, her hand trembling as she reached out. But Tammy recoiled. "No, I'm done," Tammy spat, her eyes blazing with a fire that seemed impossible to extinguish. "You always think you can fix things with words, but it's actions that matter, not empty promises." Amanda's heart sank as she watched her sister disappear out the door, her fury a wall between them that felt more impenetrable than ever. But she wasn't giving up. Not yet. Back at her apartment, Tammy paced furiously, her mind racing. Every part of her wanted to push the anger aside, to try and understand why Amanda had done what she did. But all she could feel was the sting of betrayal, the years of silence between them, and the emotional wounds that hadn't healed. She didn't know if she could ever forgive her sister. Meanwhile, Amanda sat in her living room, her heart heavy with guilt. She knew she had hurt Tammy deeply, and she had no idea how to undo the damage. But she also knew that their relationship was worth fighting for. She picked up her phone and typed a message to Tammy. "I'm sorry. I'll give you space, but I want to make things right. When you're ready, I'm here." Hours passed. Tammy's phone buzzed with the notification. She stared at the message, torn between pride and the faintest hope that maybe, just maybe, Amanda was sincere. Deep down, she wanted to believe that the love they once shared as sisters could be salvaged. As the days wore on, Tammy found herself reflecting on the past, their childhood memories, the times they laughed, and even the moments they leaned on each other during tough times. It was all tangled up in her anger, but it was also proof that they had something real, something worth saving. Then, one evening, after days of internal conflict, Tammy sent a message back. "I don't know if I'm ready, but I'll try." Amanda's reply came swiftly, her words gentle but firm. "That's all I need. We'll take it one step at a time." And so, though the road ahead was still uncertain and fraught with challenges, the sisters had taken the first step toward healing. Their story wasn't over yet. However, Amy and Tammy, two larger-than-life sisters, were always the center of attention in their small town. They had their own reality show, 1000 Ulp Sisters, where they shared their struggles, triumphs, and, of course, their hilarious moments. But today was a special day. Today, they were going to get their passport photos taken. The sisters were excited but also nervous. They had never left the country before, but now they were planning a big trip to Europe. Amy, ever the optimist, was already imagining the sunny beaches of Spain, while Tammy, ever the skeptic, was worried about how she would look in the passport photo. "Do you think the photo will make me look too big?" Tammy asked, glancing at herself in the mirror as they prepared to leave. Amy chuckled. "Tammy, they have cameras that can make anyone look good. And besides, you're beautiful just the way you are." They arrived at the passport photo studio, where the photographer, a kind woman named Sarah, greeted them with a warm smile. "Are you two ready for your photo?" she asked. Amy grinned. "We're ready. But you have to promise us we won't look like monsters." Sarah laughed. "I promise, no monsters here. Just you two looking fabulous." Tammy nervously sat down in front of the backdrop, adjusting her hair for the 1000th time. "I just want to look nice," she mumbled. Amy leaned over and whispered, "You look perfect. No matter what happens, we're going to make some amazing memories with this trip." The photographer snapped the pictures, and after a few minutes they were done. Amy and Tammy anxiously waited for the prints, each imagining what their photo might look like. Would they be happy with it? Or would it be another awkward reminder of their journey to self-acceptance? When the photos finally arrived, Amy grabbed hers first. She smiled and looked at Tammy. "I look great. What about you?" Tammy slowly took hers and stared at it in shock. "Wow, I don't look half bad. I actually look normal." The two sisters burst out laughing. "I told you we'd look fabulous," Amy said. "Now let's go get those passports, and then we'll be on our way to Europe." As they left the studio, they couldn't stop smiling. It wasn't just the photos that had made them happy. It was the bond they shared as sisters and the confidence they had built in each other. No matter what the future held, they knew they'd face it together. And so, Amy and Tammy set off on their next adventure, passport photos in hand, ready to take on the world.